Welcome to the SpHERe.it Podcast. My name is Peter Ratcliffe. I'll be your host today. And with me yet again is Bartek Antoniak, a colleague of mine. We've been working together a little while. Really enjoy our conversations. Thanks very much for joining us. So today we're covering navigating the platform engineering world, and we're talking a little bit more about that paradigm, which is really interesting for me to learn about the history in the previous episode and also the latest innovations. It's really cool to see. So the biggest challenges in platform engineering, that's a pretty prominent thing at the moment. I know that you've seen a few of them. So would you be able to give us a little bit of a view on that?
Yeah, of course. Everyone likes talking about challenges, right? And I have top three on top of my head now. Maybe I can come up with more as we go. So the main challenge from my perspective is how to instantiate the platform. I mean, how to enable the platform at company scale in terms of strategic alignment, working with multiple departments, integrating different service offering together, but also how to approach the adoption, how to approach the scaling and evolving architecture, and what kind of capabilities build, and how to advocate, how to promote the platform in the organization. That's increasingly hard. There is no one recipe for this kind of challenges. It's always dependent on the context of the organization, the level of expertise, culture, and this kind of things. The second challenge I see is a bit more technical. This is about defining a platform boundary and how to avoid a scope creep. Because there is a big appetite to add more and more to the platform. Let's build another feature, or product manager wants to build one more capability. And sooner than later, this might be an uphill battle for the platform team to maintain it, to scale it, right? And sometimes it's better to have this very narrowed down vision of your platform, and you need to start thinking about this at the early stage, even before the implementation starts. And one more challenge on top of my head is related to building the just right abstraction levels. Okay. Because abstraction levels for developers to interact with the platform, the way they deploy, operate, the way they consume the platform. And of course, we can rely on open standards in technology. That's a very sensible approach because we are not reinventing another standard. We don't have to maintain this. We can just keep up with the industry trends, and it's easier. But this requires some level of expertise, and teams need to be able to reason about and consume this. But in some cases, we might think about building a heavy abstraction on top of the platform, especially if we have people who are not necessarily deep knee in the technology, like scientists, for example, or people who want to quickly prototype something. And it's better to abstract this complexity, but in the consequence of building more opinionated, more limited platform.
Sure. So it's a bit of a trade-off.
Exactly. And one more challenge is about how to measure the platform success, or the value, how to measure the value of the platform, and how to communicate this. Because there are some people who are interested in numbers, number of active users, number of team onboarded, but there are a number of indirect benefits of platform engineering, for example, developer community, improving existing standards, and so on and so on. These are quite fundamental challenges, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think you've got to get that kind of buy-in from the teams to understand that whatever efforts you're putting in is adding the value that they expect, and they also need to input, don't they? Because we all know that people are opinionated and they need to be heard. And again, it comes to the psychological and cultural changes that are required for these kind of innovations, and it's very important that you can do that. So yes, indeed. Now, obviously, the hyperscalers, the cloud players, their technology has changed the game, right? And I think that adoption of cloud has effectively impacted massively on this paradigm from what I've been reading into. So what's your opinion on that? How have they impacted the platform engineering paradigm?
I think these days we have much more elasticity and flexibility because we can delegate this responsibility of running and operating underlying software to cloud provider, for example. And we can achieve better availability. We can replicate the instances in different regions, and we don't have to do it ourselves, right? And apart from that, we have access to a wide range of managed services, which are sometimes very difficult to operate in a self-hosted approach. For example, distributed data stores. So we consume existing technologies and we integrate them together. There are a number of software as a services product emerged, and they also play a vital role as part of platform engineering. So rather than building everything from the ground up, we can just reuse existing capabilities, existing products, stick everything together, and make sure we think about developer experience more rather than this operational aspect.
But how do you manage the complexity of the multi-cloud paradigm in platform engineering? Because obviously you're talking about managed services that have been developed by cloud vendor X, and they're very specific to that. Yeah. But then you've got multi-jurisdictional businesses that have got different regulations they're beholden to, where they have to have a multi-cloud environment. How does that change the platform engineering mission?
I think traditionally it was very difficult to replicate the same capabilities on-prem compared to the public cloud, because you had to build everything yourself and operate this. And since then, technology has matured a lot in this space, and now we see products like Google Anthos, Azure Arc, AWS Outpost, which are basically enabling us to expand our existing platform offerings in the public cloud to the private cloud, even to the edge. We have a lot of products which offer a managed Kubernetes on-prem, and this is how we maintain the same abstraction level, and we make sure applications are portable from one place to the other. There is no much friction when it comes to interoperability between different systems, and we provide a consistent operating model for developers at the end of the day. So we go just a bit up in terms of the abstraction layers, and we have products which finally make this possible.
And obviously the when you're looking at the value add and the kind of the benefits that we were talking about earlier of the platform, the hyperscalers, they have some managed services that it can enable you to monitor things like FinOps and to manage that more effectively. So I guess there's quite a big impact, or at least investment from those hyperscalers in the platform engineering space to deliver those benefits to the customers, right?
Absolutely. Now they need to comply with cloud native standards. The standards are open standards in technology, and if you want to make your technology interesting, it needs to be cloud native in one way or the other. So if we're talking about using some product in public cloud and private cloud, we would like to consume the same interfaces. We would like to have the same level of integration, the same capabilities. We don't want to glue everything together from the ground up. So it's really important for companies to keep up with this technology trends and standards, and integrate this with the existing technology ecosystem.
There's things that we've covered in terms of technology, but sort of the methodology for platform engineering. How does that work? How is that different now, given the impact of cloud and emerging technologies? How does that change the game?
I think the concepts introduced as part of Team Topology's book were quite mind-blowing for some people, I would even say. So this book describes the organizational layout, how teams interact, how they can support each other, how to make sure we are taking part of the entire value stream, and especially how platform engineering plays a vital role as part of this journey. And some people even say that's the platform engineering Bible.
Yeah, sure.
And following this idea, we see a lot of interest in product management capabilities in the infrastructure space, where it was a norm in the application space. It wasn't that popular because the traditional IT services departments were interacting with end users mostly through tickets and very formal interfaces, and there was a significant gap. And product management is trying to bridge this gap and work closely with end users, and that was the also significant milestone, in my opinion, in this evolution. So instead of, apart from all these technological advancements, we also need to take into consideration the organizational layout and how teams should interact with each other, how to scale, how to work together as a team,
and what skills to learn, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, we deal with many customers, you and I, where they're trying to make these transitions. Some of them are doing it really well, some of them not so well. They need help. And one of the biggest blockers is that they've got some very reliable, top-level technologists that just don't have that skill set right now. So what kind of skills do you think people in those teams would need to start brushing up on or developing in order to transition to that platform engineering role, would you say?
Let me start with some foundational aspects, and then we can touch on the specific technology skills maybe, because in my opinion, you need to look holistically. You need to understand both users' perspective, you need to understand the existing organizational realities, and especially what's possible, what not, and how to communicate this both to your stakeholders and people using your platform. Because you really need to build a good reputation. You need to have good consulting skills, you need to have decent communication skills, and platform engineers needs to be capable of understanding cognitive load in engineering, where it exactly is, how to get rid of that, what kind of solution technologies we can use to basically enable developers in their day-to-day work. And in terms of technical skills, platform engineering often requires multidisciplinary expertise. So I would recommend to spend a year or two writing software, understanding software development lifecycle from start to finish. Make sure you take part in the early design, prototype, implementation. But you don't change the project, you stay and try to run the software in production, continuously improve, support this, and even decommission. And this gives you a good perspective how you can help developers in the organization.
Sure. That's good advice. And I think a lot of people will be thinking about how do I move the dial on my skill set, and maybe we can go into that on another episode as well to sort of showcase where we can do this. That'll be good. Where do you think this is going? Next 5 to 10 years. Where is platform engineering going? What do you see in the crystal ball?
Good question. I think platform engineering will continue to grow in. The interest of platform engineering will continue to grow in this ever-changing technology world. And platform engineering will gravitate more towards data platforms, especially assuming recent advancements in AI and data. There will be plenty of work, plenty of cognitive overload, which we can reduce.
It's already happening in ML ops, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
That kind of specialist platform area, right?
And over time, we can expect even more overhead in training, running models in production, or consuming some AI services in the public cloud. How to take care of the data privacy, some confidential data, and so on and so on. So that will be definitely something on the radar going forward. The other thing, of course, companies envisioned the hybrid cloud and edge computing for many years, and I expect we'll see a more tangible evidence of this going forward. Especially with the recent advancements in technology, which we discussed a moment ago. And finally, we can expect more specialized platforms. I mean, platforms which are not necessarily focusing on developer efficiency alone.
So domain-driven platforms.
Domain-driven platforms, business platforms that provide you capabilities in logistics, manufacturing, for example, digital twin platforms, where you have off-the-shelf capabilities, and at the same time you can expand this, you can implement your own capabilities, and so on and so on.
Brilliant. Look,
so
thanks.
this is promising. I would say
bright.
Future is bright and promising, and if you are considering jumping on this platform and engineering bandwagon, that's a good timing, probably. Brilliant
to hear. So we're hitting the nail on the head, as they say. Look, again, absolute pleasure. Just want to say, I love working with you. I think you're a great guy. Read some of your blogs and stuff, and they're really good. Thanks ever so much for taking the time today. Thanks everybody for joining us. So for everyone here at SpHERe.it, wishing you a very happy new year. Goodbye.